With a long-awaited progression system for Enlisted coming, a lot of people are beyond amazed and happy for Enlisted as a game, since this is what we have been waiting for a long time. Although Enlisted has actually improved, or the game is actually trying to improve the game, there are a few problems that could potentially happen for this new progression system. And given Enlisted history about disasters, this one could actually end up turning into a disaster, and if not implemented correctly, it can actually destroy the game itself. But that's it, without further ado, let's get started with this video, which is the potential disaster for Enlisted with the new progression. That said, if you haven't liked, subscribe, or joined the Discord, highly suggest that you do, and let's get started. The first issue that me and a lot of people have in particular is how the current progression is going to be implemented into the new faction. Of course, this is going to be the biggest problem for a lot of players. However, before you guys start ranting in chat, this actually is going to be the biggest problem that has been solved. Since Enlisted has come out and said that your current progression will be transferred into the new campaign. However, there is something not stated in this message. For example, if you are a maxed out player in Moscow Axis, then your progression will transfer into a new German campaign, but you will definitely be inherently at a lower level than the person who has maxed out Axis Berlin. Not to mention the fact that a potential problem that I see is if you have maxed out Axis Berlin, does that mean that you automatically max out Axis Moscow? But that is going to be a problem. Of course, in theory, you both have spent the same time, which means that if the latter is true, then Axis Berlin is going to have an inherent edge, which is not a good thing. But if you're facing a person who literally has Axis Berlin maxed out, but you only have Axis Moscow maxed out, and they transfer. Of course, Enlisted has come out and says that's not going to be a problem, because literally we're going to have a tier system. But Enlisted also has come out saying that if the waiting queue time does not add up, then what you're going to have to do is going to be fighting against a T60 versus a Tiger 2. And Enlisted did come out and say that that's not really going to happen, but at the same time they also said that that should not happen in theory, which is basically saying nothing. And as you can see right now, this is going to be a potential problem for Enlisted. Not to mention the fact that people have spent a lot of queue orders on customizations, which honestly at this point I really don't know what to say about the customization. I think Enlisted is actually going to do a good job, but the potential for disaster for Enlisted as of right now is that these different factions at different times are just going to be put into Enlisted, and what's going to happen is that you're going to be having early game equipment for people who have maxed out campaigns like Axis Moscow, but are going to be inherently inferior to people who have maxed out like Axis Berlin, which is going to be a problem. On the other hand, the progression system and queue times is also going to be a problem, considering the fact that you actually might be using a T60 against a Tiger 2 Porsche. Because as of right now, Enlisted has not really specified how they are going to be changing the queue system, and that is going to be a problem. And as of right now, this is going to be turning into a big problem if Enlisted does not specify. Also, not to mention the fact that the tier system is a little bit wonky, because the tier system, in my mind, is a tier system, but if everything goes not to plan, in the sense that if you're going to be waiting for a long time, then there practically is no queue system. But this time you're going to be literally once again using a T60 against a Tiger 2, which is going to be a problem. On the other hand, small armor weapons are actually going to be more fair, considering the fact that if you can shoot someone with a bolt action rifle, you're going to stand a better chance than a T60 against a Tiger 2. On the other hand, if you do have a bolt action rifle and you're facing against FG-42-2s, then I see a big problem. Not that you're not going to be able to kill the enemy, but you're just going to have an extremely hard time. But that said, that is all my potential disasters that I can think of for Enlisted as of right now. I do have a lot of other issues, like the bots, which they really have to fix, and not giving enough weapons to the new factions, which I covered in my previous video. But that said, that's all for Enlisted today. I don't know what you guys think are potential disaster for Enlisted. I personally spoke to a lot of other content creators who thought this is not a great idea, or the fact that Enlisted has to do a lot of revamping to help the situation. But that's it, that's all for this video, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Discord. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.